Marco. It's just like watching Cheers, you know. What's his face called? What is it?
We're here, so I brought them in to a quick just in case.
All right. Let's call this meeting to order base of the Kachemak Bay State Park Citizens Advisory Board for March 11th, 2020. So I'll call roll. Kirsten Dixon. Lou. You're on the takers. No taker is not an individual. Sue Christensen. Nope.
Yeah.
Here. Here.
Nancy Hillstrom.
Here.
Nancy, was that a here?
Yep, that was a here.
You. Curtis Jackson has been used. Glenn Seaman.
I'm here.
Hi, Glenn. Justice Sky. Here. Lily Dupree is here. Morgan Banzo.
Here.
I'm Morgan. And I know where Casey Adderhold is, and if she was gonna join us tonight, it would be like 3 o'clock in the morning her time. Where's?
Yeah, she should be here.
She's in Cape Town, South Africa. So we have 1, 2, 7. We have a quorum. We can conduct business. All right, let's move on. Need to approve the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? If not, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda. I second.
Apparently nobody had any additions, so we'll move on. I had one. I added one thing. Under new business, House Bill 220. Talk about that just a little bit. If that's all right with everybody.
That would be B.
Yes. Okay. Next is number 4, approve the minutes from February 11th, 2026. I'm sure you have all read them. They were sent out. There were numerous attachments sent out this time. So I need a motion to approve the agenda in a second, please.
I move to approve the minutes.
I
And
second.
I second them.
So Sue made a motion and
I'll second it. No, Morgan already.
Morgan Banzo seconded. Any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We'll move on to number 6, which is, what happened to public comment? There it is. Anybody from the public that would like to address the board? Aaron?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of things. One of the things that really bothers me is there seems to be an effort to change the name of Cottonwood Eastland to Eastland Trails. So it's always been called, in my opinion, Cottonwood Space Eastland, and sometimes it's been called Unit, and sometimes it's been called Cottonwood Space Eastland Section. But it's just mainly known as Cottonwood Eastland. So to change it to Eastland Trails, I Googled this, and the question was, can you arbitrarily change the name of a park? The answer that came back was no. One cannot arbitrarily or unilaterally change the name of a public park. Renaming a park is a formal, legal, and often political process that requires approval from municipal, county, state, or local or federal authorities, depending on who holds the title of the land. While proposals can be submitted by the public, they must follow established guidelines. I talked to Derek, and he just changed it. He thought because it was Cottonwood Eastland was too long. So anyway, I stand opposed to changing the name.
Thank you, Aaron.
And the second thing on my agenda, it really bothers me that we are not allowed to brush the trails, the social trails in Cottonwood Eastland. Now, we're getting new trails. That's wonderful. I approve it completely. We have social trails that have been there for, I've been here 20 years. They were few when I got here. We've been brushing them up until 2 years ago. And it makes no sense to me. We're getting new trails, but we can't brush the trails we got. So they're mainly single track trails. People come from all over the world to hike on our single track trails across the bay. But we have trails here we can't brush, so it makes no sense. Very disturbing, very disappointing to me that we're not allowed to brush those trails.
How can we brush them? Just not a discussion. This is public comment unless you guys want to have a discussion.
So the other thing on my agenda is vote, vote, vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. And I will put this on the agenda for next meeting.
Thanks.
Anybody else from the public would like to make a comment?
Robert, this is Hal.
I was just gonna make a quick comment. I got sat down at Rat Hole this week looking for how much money the state gives to Kachemak Bay State Parks for Diamond Creek and Evelyn. Can't find it. Lots of deferred maintenance kind of numbers and so on, but if you look up deferred maintenance, you go down a rabbit hole, also waste a lot of time. But anyway, I don't know how to find that out. Looking at the governor's budget, goes in 18 different directions. Anyway, be nice to know.
Thank you, Dave. That was Dave Moran. Al Shepard, you're up next.
Thank you. Thanks, Robert. And I just wanted to real quick give a heads up about the Dixon Creek diversion licensing amendment proposed to FERC by AEA is coming up. The draft has come out for that diversion project from the Bradley Lake Reservoir. And the comment period on the draft license application is AEA is asking for those comments to be submitted by April 15th, 15th or 16th. And that's a 60-day comment period. One of the things that the Kachemak Bay Watershed Council has been sort of repeatedly bringing up at the meetings, we participated in the meetings for about the past 3 years or so, is that there is no provision for forecasting the impact. They've been doing all kinds of study plans on aquatic resources, habitat, land-based terrestrial fish and wildlife impacts of this diversion. There's not even a single mention in any of the study plans about climate change and how that might be impacting in the future. This diversion will exacerbate the impacts of climate change. With the last couple of years, we've had a pretty dismal, we did get some snow recently last week, thank goodness, but the snowpack has been pretty dismal around the Bay Area. And that's definitely going to impact the future of this river, of Dixon Creek and the Bradley River and this diversion. So again, that's folks, what we're going to be focused on primarily is the impacts of climate change and how they need to be, how can they be doing these study plans without so much as mentioning how this diversion is going to be exacerbated, or the impacts from the diversion is going to be exacerbated by temperatures going up, dissolved oxygen going down because of increased temperatures, or even more flow in the river because the glaciers are going to be melting faster. So I just wanted to let the board, advisory board know about that. I don't know if it's something that is within their bailiwick or not. I can put the link in the chat if that's all right, for the draft licensing amendment and all the study plans for that. And otherwise, anyone who's interested can contact me.
Okay, Hal, can you send that link to me?
Yes, I'll do that, and I'll post it in the chat as well.
Be interested in if you wanted to come as a visitor next time and have a little Q&A with the board.
Yeah, glad to do that. There sounds like there's time for this, so.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public? Mako Haggerty, step up.
Okay. So, this is, the harbor froze up again, last night. That's the third time this year it's froze up. So, it's all part of that global climate change thing and it just shuts down everything. So, so this is just current events. I want to complain about people that complain about the price of gas. They should never complain about the price of gas. $5, I think, is probably pretty cheap. But what they should complain about is their addiction to gas. That's what they need to complain about. And I just want to get that out there because this is an opportunity to have public comment. I take it to the city council. Nobody's going to do anything about that. And also, I would like to support House Bill 321, and I think that's on your agenda. So I support that.
Thanks, Mako.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody online? Okay, then we'll close public comment. We have no visitors for this evening, and we'll move on to state parks reports. And I don't know which one of you want to corral that one tonight. Eric?
Well, I sent out to all the board members an operations report from the past month, and if anybody has read that, great. If anybody has questions about it, or has any.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Parks.
Eric, have you or Hans had any communication with Derek regarding the name change?
There was discussion, I think, last fall.
So the official name of that area is Cottonwood Eastland?
No, I'm allowed.
Now, are you Eric? No. I'm just kidding, totally kidding. What is the official name of the Cottonwood Eastland?
In the management plan, it says the Cottonwood Eastland Management Unit. There's also the northern part of Kachemak Bay State Park Management Unit, the Chanapoop Lake Management Unit, Bruick Lake Management Unit. You get my drift. My thought on all that is that with like within the Bruick Valley Management Unit, we don't call it the Bruick Valley Management Unit. Call it the Bruick Valley because it's just confined by the valley. But within that, there are trails that are different names. There are trailheads that are different names. Cottonwood Eastland is in the point of being developed. So as it gets developed, and as maybe there's going to be more than one trailhead in that management unit, you're going to have to end up having different names. And usually public tends to identify with things that are more like have an identifiable thing, like, trailhead at mile 17. We're going to have these trails out at mile 17 there, and they're all going to have to end up having names at some point. So that is just kind of my take, and I don't know if Aaron or Hans, has, or Jason, dealing with, park staff that's here, have any other, input with that. Um, So please chime in.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I can chime in on my little report if that makes sense for everybody. It's hard to know if you're wrapping up there, you're kind of wrapped up there. Or...
I'm kind of wrapped up there. If that's, now if somebody has any more questions about my little operations report. Thanks, Aaron.
I got one question about the tram.
Okay,
Is that usable now currently?
it should be, but I have not been out there. So I have not heard anything that it's down for any reason at all.
Okay, yeah, there was somebody that questioned me that the other day and I went, I will find out
Okay,
and I will have to tell them. We don't know right.
we don't know, right? Nobody's been out there since the fall.
I can kick things off there, Robert, on the heels of your question there, if it's suits your desires there. All right, just for the group, it's, as everyone's aware there, the field season, spring is certainly upon us, and part of that, just for the group's efforts there, some may know, some may not, but one of our tasks in the spring is to get out to all of our sites and do a site inspection of them, including the tram there. So obviously it's not the season to do that, but we'll be doing that in the coming months here as snow recedes and we gain access to locations, part of the spring lead up here, which you can certainly feel the longer days, which feels good. Just regarding the discussion about the Cottonwood Eastland unit, Eastland trails, brushing, social trails. I would suggest, Robert, I can have a more in-depth agency report next month, or we can have an agenda item next month. We'll be doing, might be appropriate, like a seasonal update on the trails, where they're at, what's going to be happening for the summer out there with construction, et cetera, and how parks will be, juggling that along with expectations for the public, expectations for naming, to Eric's previous point, right? We along with the Home Recycling Club is building infrastructure on state parks land. That will mean, we have many more names in our future. So what the desire of the group here is to handle that, how we want to handle that, we can discuss all that in some manner that's efficient for everyone. Just like to thank the group here, the board, for support of the hiring waiver letters to our legislative delegation on the South Peninsula. We appreciate that. No word yet from the commissioner's office, but certainly keep this group appraised as the field season marches on here. Also, just in the past few weeks, had correspondence with Camille at the cycling club, provided a letter of support for a Homer Foundation grant, which was awarded to the cycling club, which is very exciting. And also chatted with Sue there about getting in touch with some of our education staff at state parks for bear awareness at Humpy Creek. And Dave, I heard your comment there about deferred maintenance. We've got that information available on our website. That's correct. So if anyone's interested in looking at it here, if the board wants to look at it in a comprehensive manner, we can certainly do that at some point. There's a small capital note for parks in this year's governor's budget. The last two governor's budgets have included no capital inclusions for deferred maintenance. So the value of reviewing the list and is still there. It's just we haven't had the funding mechanisms like we have had in previous governor's budgets. And that's all I've got, Robert.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Hans? Alan Parks.
Thank you, Robert. Back to the subject of names, I remember having a conversation with Janet Klein about names. And she described quite a process for names. It included names of people who have been deceased, how long they've been deceased. There were names, we talked about names for trails and points and mountains with indigenous people and stuff like that. I like the names at Salteshi. I like how they have Bear Trail, and then they have the Denina name underneath it for bear. So it's kind of that thing. I think that in regarding to names, I think that the process should be transparent, and it shouldn't be left up open to any one individual. I think that there should be a definitive process about names and how they get put on maps, etc. So that everybody's not caught off guard. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with at some point, Hans, for that process. I don't really have a big thing about it, but it'd be nice to be thoughtful about the names and look at the people who donated the land out there, what documentation they have for recognizing them. So it gets a little complicated, because I'd hate to see a bunch of trails. I'm a big mountain biker. I've been mountain biking for 50 some odd years. I've been all over the state mountain biking. And I'd hate to see some trails get kind of named disrespectfully, I should say. I think the land and the effort that's gone into it, it's a small cog in this big wheel of how we move forward there. That's all. That's my comment there.
Thank you. We do have a, which I can dust off. We have some guidance, state parks guidance on naming. So we've got like a foundational document, which would be helpful to this group. And my favorite single track trail at Salteshi is Cheeto Dust. So that's the one I like to ride the most. It's a fun trail.
Yeah, that's all I got for that. Thank you so much.
You bet. And Alan, I owe you a phone call.
Yeah, you're right up there.
Okay.
Check mark. No, anytime you got time.
Thanks.
And hopefully we can bring the subject of the names of the proposed area out there at their next board meeting.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Robert, maybe, oh, sorry to cut you off there, Robert, but I think as we, this is exciting times with exciting infrastructure. We can perhaps get into a tempo, right, as we get things built, we can get into a nice tempo here of, infrastructure being completed, the naming process being completed, and that might take, I would envision that, I guess, maybe a revolving multi-year process, which could be, very fun for the public.
Yeah, it can be. Now is the time to come up with the acceptable to do that. So keep everybody happy. Good. All right. We have nothing further there. We're down to committee reports. I do believe just we are. Friends report. Mr. Haggerty.
Okay, the Friends, left on March 2nd. On a Monday. And, let's see, actually, might want to mention that we had a budget meeting on February 25th. So we talked about our budget, and, we've got money. The state can't have any of it at all. The state at all. The state search.
We haven't got a check for $100,000 this year, incidentally.
Yeah. So let's see, we got a report from Eric and, we do have some money, I think, total liquid funds, which I shouldn't be telling you because you guys can't spend any of it, 75,000. We heard a report from Dave and he's gonna give you a water trail report here. And then Camille, she'll probably, you can give a report on, okay. And, Allison was there and she kicked ass with the, holds, rescue, yeah, the, search and rescue thing, that thing, she has, really done a great job with that, and she got some money, and she's moving forward with it, and now it's, she's got a network with the rest of the state, which is really, adding a whole dimension to, search and rescue right here in the bay here. So, I think there's a wilderness, a first aid class. There's a couple of places left available if anybody wants to sign up for that, and that's on May 16th and 17th. I'm gonna mention, are you gonna, I don't want to take anything away from you, but on May 20th, there's a paddling film festival through the Water Trail Committee, and on May 22nd, there's a social for friends and the water trail at Grace Ridge. Mark your calendars.
What time is that?
Everybody to be there. That's
4 to 6 general,
4 to
plus or minus.
4 to 6 at the social on May 22nd. And,
Paddle one. Film festival,
I'm not sure, I don't know, I haven't caught up with Savannah.
we're still working.
okay, and that's May 20th. So we're working on artificial intelligence policy at Friends, and we're working on the policy, and we're getting closer, and keep you posted on that. I think everybody should have a policy on artificial intelligence. And let's see, here's the latest on the trail counters is I heard from Silas today. We were not going to be able to get the trail counters because of the tariffs in Canada. They're made in Canada. And
They were not exporting to America for a short time here.
right, but as of today, the tariff got dropped to 15%, and I think we can afford that. So they will ship to the US now. I think the biggest thing that happened was Kathy Sarnes resigned as president, and she resigned from the Friends. And we just owe her so much. It's hard to put it into words. It's hard to categorize just how much she's done for the park. And although we've lost her as a board member for Friends, we haven't lost her as a friend. And she will be, we said, she's down in, what is it, Tennessee? Is that where she's at? Yeah. So she's in Tennessee, and she'll be coming back, and she'll want to work on the trails. So it's volunteers like Kathy that really make this park what it is, and we owe just a great debt of gratitude to her and for all the energy she's put into this.
Will she be back? Trails and Tales?
I think so. End of
She's coming
April.
back May 1st.
Yeah,
That might be the time to do something.
yeah, that's right. And she will continue as president through May 1st. And let's see, she also wrote a letter of support for House Bill 321, which we as a board voted to support that. So, And we also have talked about Chris Little is going to take a look at the economic impact of the state park across the bay. It's a big job. It's a huge job, and gathering that kind of data is a big job. So we're going to narrow our focus to across the bay, and hopefully we'll get some hard facts together to show what that park means to the local community. And we have a work party going over on April 24th, 26th. Dave Brand organizing it. Parks can provide transportation. I think we'll try to help with the transportation too. And so there's a number of things that need to be fixed over there at the lagoon. And I'm looking for projects for Trails Day. So that's it. All we got.
Thanks, Marco.
All right. Kachemak Bay Water Trail. Dave Brand.
So just related to that stuff, I don't have the details on the paddling film festival yet. At the social at Grace Ridge, where we usually do our free oysters and salmon, ask board members and so on to bring finger foods, that kind of stuff. And we're gonna have 1 or 2 kayaks on display, dry suit, maybe wetsuit, some safety gear, that kind of stuff. And then we're also gonna get set up the film program and slide program. Lisa Holstoffel did when she, in the beginning of the water trail, she and another friend paddled from the Switchback Trail, head of the bay, at 10 days paddling down the water trail site to Kayak Beach and maybe beyond. So we'll have that. We'll play it at least once, and if we can, we'll play it a second time or have it repeating, something like that. Haven't set a date for sure yet with Eric to do a recon trip. I'm looking at 8 to 10 people over there as a manageable group for that 3-day weekend. But for maybe 5 people signed up so far, use another 5 or 6, so on. And then Eric and I and somebody else, 1 or 2 others will go over and figure out exactly to narrow down what needs to be done and who's going to do it. I'm going to assign people to projects, something like that. We will be taking a bunch of firewood over there. So before that time, we'll have a wood bundling party up at Bill's. We're going to have 8 to 10 people that can carry wood up the ramp. So we're going to take what we can. Jim Herbert has volunteered his boat to haul the wood and some of the extra people. We can't all go on the state park boat.
What day would that be, Dave? What day?
24, 25, 26 for this, a 3-day thing. Yeah. The last weekend in April. And so I guess that's all related to that. Oh, thinking about it, I checked out the cost of wood mulch at Katie Moore and a couple places. $35 a bale and so on. I heard Mark was already on top of that. But I called Ben Gibson today also. He's got free wood chips that we can have. It's just come and get them for free. So, I figure just save $70 there, no matter whose money it came from. But anyway, that's it for Waterfield.
What was the date of the Grace Ridge deal?
22nd.
22nd. 4 to 6.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. Anybody online have any questions? Okay, then next is Cottonwood Eastland. Camille.
So I am reporting on the Eastland Trails located within the Cottonwood Eastland Management Unit of Kachemak Bay State Park. I really don't have a whole lot to report. As Hans mentioned, we did get the Homer Foundation Community Impact Grant of $50,000, which is about the largest grant that they have ever done. It was a unanimous decision by the board. They were just very which is very, very huge. The other thing, which may or may not be a long shot, is you may have heard about the Alaska getting a rural health transformation program grant of, I think it's $172 million that has to be spent by October 1st of 2027. And they will get this every year for 5 years. And so we have submitted, the Homer Cycling Club has submitted a letter of interest. And we're taking the angle of transforming an underutilized public space into a wellness location. It does meet all the criteria laid out in this grant. And the last day for submitting letters of interest was yesterday. And my understanding is we'll hear within 4 to 6 weeks whether we're invited to submit a full application. Our project is shovel ready. Phase 2 is shovel ready. So we feel that we could have it completed by the end of next summer. And just because the way the grant works, if we get asked to submit a full application, there's a very high likelihood that we would get it, and that we would also potentially could get funding. We wouldn't get it this time around, but you re-ask in the future for phase 3 too. So if we can get into this grant, there's a really good chance that we could get the rest of the project funded over the next 5 years, in addition to a lot of other things, maybe some other infrastructure, certainly for the health and wellness part of it, picnic tables, panels, health and wellness panels, the wayfinding signage, all that kind of stuff can be rolled into this grant. So it's just something for all of us to think about. How can we maximize using this grant to our advantage out on the Eastland trails? Questions?
Any questions for Camille? Anybody online? Thanks, Camille. All right, next is D. Evelyn State Recreation Site, and I know that Vicki will not be speaking to us tonight, but they did get that borough fund. The borough has.
Community assistance program, it's about $6,000.
Yeah, so they got that.
Yes.
So they have some funding to work on things there this summer, and just the skiing there has been pretty good this year. So about all I know on that one. Habitat Committee, Nancy, do you have anything to add? Nancy Hillstrand.
Yep, I'm there. Nope, I'm actually meeting with the lady tomorrow, and we're taking up this issue, on 321 also. You are going to talk about that today, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then nothing. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. And Alan, did you have anything you wanted to talk about from the Trails Committee?
Yeah, we just, we met today, thanks, Robert. We met today at 4 o'clock here, and we talked about the event that's being held on May 16th, and Trails and Tales, 4 to 6. We're checking into having the event here rather than over at the Methodist Church. We're gonna need some people to help out on that. Probably need 4 to 6 volunteers to kind of pony up and spend some time with us there on the day of the event, just checking people in and stuff like that. We talked about having some volunteer trail crew training, and our tentative date for that is on April 18th, 4 to 6, and we don't have a venue yet, but it's going to be possibly here, and we'll let everybody know about that. And that's going to be basically Camille has a presentation talking about everything from what tools that you need, a volunteer would possibly have to do the trail maintenance, to how to carry it, and, you know, and just kind of the protocol on a lot of that stuff is what she's gonna be going through, and Eric's gonna participate in that as well. We have a KVVI coffee table program for May 13th. And that's the Wednesday before the May 16th Trails Tales event. That's kind of the highlights. I think, did I leave anything out? Thank you so much. I need that type of stuff. All right.
When is Trails Day?
It's June 7th, I believe.
For the first, I think it's the sixth.
Sixth.
It's the first Saturday,
Mhm.
June sixth, right?
It's June 6th.
That's when they take a bunch of people to help work on trails.
Yep, Trail 6. That's what I got on my calendar. 6. Yep. And just the reminder is that our event is, you know, to promote Trails Day to some degree, but it's also to every day is Trails Day, and we're looking for volunteers, you know, solid core volunteers with the wonderful Kathy Sarnes departing and her roles, and Casey is stepping up and doing a lot of the volunteer coordination with friends, and Casey's been really great. What a board member she is to this. I think that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
Okay. Thanks, Alan.
You betcha.
Well, now, monthly public speaking events, and your name's on that one too.
Okay.
You and Morgan.
Well, yeah, and Morgan, I missed you so much.
I miss you too, Alan. You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. It's a tough to fill your role, or me assisting you. Tough, but I'm making it. I'm barely making it. We're
All you have to do is look at his hairdo.
right. Gosh, I don't even have time for a haircut. You know, it's like wow. The speaker events have been going pretty good. We had one last Thursday at the Methodist Church. About 60 people showed up. It was Marilyn Sigmund, and she gave a very good report on 8,000 years, or presentation on 8,000 years of humans being around Kachemak Bay, and all the different hypotheses associated with that. Next month, on April 2nd, is Tom Gazaya, and his presentation is going to be the history of advocacy in Kachemak Bay and Kachemak Bay State Park. And so that is scheduled to be at Methodist Church, but we're checking in and moving that over here. There's been, anyway, so that's just kind of in the works there. Then on April 30th, again, it's Aaron Lane giving a talk on birds of Kachemak Bay. And we're going to, or I am going to probably bring to the board to continue this series. What's going to be discontinued in the summer, and probably want to continue it in September. It's been well received, and I think that it's really a good way to get the word out about Kachemak Bay, the history of the bay, people involved in the bay, get people talking about the bay, and also different messages we want the public to know about, you know, like funding, any other issues that come up, but it's really been good, and I hope the bring that to the board before I leave for the summer, to continue it. And I guess getting back to Trails Day real quick is Roman Dial is talking on May 16th. That's the speaker. And if you don't know Roman Dial, I just kind of learned of this guy, and he's a gigantic guy in Alaska. And I don't know why I haven't heard of him, but he's a retired professor from APU. And he's going to be talking about climate change and his work in the Brooks Range. And we're going to connect that to climate change effects in Kachemak Bay. And I think it's going to be really a great deal, a great presentation. And if you haven't seen it, Arctic Alchemy is a film about him. It's about 20 minutes long. And my good friend Mako, who has actually brought Roman to my attention and to Stephen Christensen's attention, told me about the film. And I watched it because I was interested in getting the speaker. And it's really an awesome film, really well done, great cinematography. It's only 20 minutes, and it's well worth watching to give you kind of a primer of what Roman's life has been and what he's going to be bringing to the community on May 16th. That's the
Name of the film again?
Arctic Alchemy. And I can't speak more. And I talked to him on the phone for a long, he's a super easy guy to talk to. And I would classify what I know about him is that he is a rock star. He is somebody that cares about Alaska, cares about our parks, and is going to be a very excellent speaker. The end.
Thank you. And I do know that Edinburgh had a program at the college yesterday.
Last night.
And,
Excellent.
and they were out in the foyer. They filled that place up. So
They had to turn on a TV out there and transmit out there that the whole foyer, the room was overflowing, standing room only, and then all the way out into that area out there.
So Tom Kazai, if we do the right PR for him, will fill this place up if they can get it. I suspect Mr. Dial would too. All right, anything else? Any questions for Alan? Good, you're off the hook now. It's like Brendan. You can let your hair down. All right, next under old business is item B, which was public fair education. Sue, did you have anything you wanted to talk about there for justice?
I have been working on two things, a brochure that hopefully will get out before Shorebird Festival, and the possibility of having the film Staying Safe in Bear Country on the spit close to Ramp 2 for water taxi folks and people to just steer visitors to the park to watch the film before they go over, especially to the Humpy Creek area. We have the Homer Foundation, if we can get the information to them by March 18th, said that they could, process a grant, for that video thing for March 28th, which is kind of making an exception for us. The city, it sounds like Hans has talked to Chad. They're really open to having it there. And Robert suggested, Nancy, that maybe even we could have the little video displayer kind of behind Mako's water taxi or by Allison's place. Might also be a spot that might be appropriate for people to gather and watch there. So those are in the works. Shonda, who's like in charge of interpretation or signs or Hans turned me on to, and we've been in quite a bit of dialogue, and she has sent me, she has another fellow helping her, but just possible, I guess, video screens that would be durable and that we could take down in the winter and not too big and very simple. So hopefully we'll have all the costs for that by March 18th, so I can get that little grant to Homer Foundation so that it could work. But it's all it all just kind of depends if things fall in place. But I think the brochure, no matter what, will go through. And Glenn and I met. There's And even Shonda thinks that it would be really appropriate for Kachemak Bay State Park to have our own brochure on bears. We really like a lot of the things from the National Park bear brochures and information and fish and games, and then also the one that Mako had last summer, or Allison was handing around, was the one that Shonda from State Park Interpretation or Natural Resources developed a few years ago, but they no longer have the, I guess, the plates or whatever to have that one, but she could help us recreate a lot of those things. So kind of a combination of those three would be what we would put out. And for Homer Foundation, they require us, if we do it on the city property around the pavilion, they just, and the Homer Foundation, we just need to have some kind of a memorandum in place, and maybe Chad talk with you about that, Hans, I don't know. But just who's gonna take it down in the winter and that kind of a thing. Any questions? So that's all I've worked on, and I know that Justin's got a lot more in regard to the Humpy Creek Trail access and keeping it open or not keeping it open. But I'm just, as far as getting information to people on this side before they go over, that's kind of what I've been working on.
Thanks, Sue. Any questions for Sue?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, I was just thinking if you might want to talk to Alan, because he did this out there with the acidification deal. We had it at our place. I think it'd be better, maybe closer to Mako's, if he'd be willing to have it near his place or wherever the, all the traffic is, because we just get Coal Point traffic, but there's all kinds of traffic over there, or have two of them, and that we can have a video running and, just set something up. And I can sure set it up at our plant too. So, because people are waiting and they like to look at things and all that kind of stuff. So
What
I
is
just
it?
thought,
What is it?
huh?
What is it that you're talking about as far as
Oh,
putting it up?
well, that's why, Alan would know, because he used to work for AMC Squared, and they had an acidification, tape that played over and over and over, and it told everybody what was going on in the ocean, and it was just really great, and people loved it. I mean, people walk down the boardwalk, they'd come and watch it. And then I don't know who took it down, but I would assume it was AMC Squared, but he'll be able to tell you that. I tried to get that screen, but it's wrecked. It's done. And so it's no longer functioning, or else I would have put it back up, because we were all rigged up for internet and everything outside, which is, I don't know if that's still running, but if it is, then we could just plug and play on that too. But and then the other thing I wanted to mention is I talked to Larry Van Deel. He's the wildlife biologist down in Kodiak. He teaches bear aware things down there, and is still doing that. And I talked to him last week, and and he said he'd be willing to come speak to us also, if you want to put him on the agenda. And so, he probably has a lot of, well, he does. He has 40 years of bear experience, and he's written books on it and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's just something we can think about and talk about if Chris or if Sue wants to have another meeting or whatever, and we can talk that out. But the fellow's name is Larry Van Deal, and he was also on the board of game for a while. But very, very knowledgeable. I mean, probably the most knowledgeable person I know in Alaska, that because he's lived with them. He's also on the Brown Bear Trust down there, and has just done a lot of work with bears. So, okay, well, thanks. Thank you
And-
so much, Sue.
Nance, I think for the most part, the whole bear thing is habitat on the habitat committee if we ever meet. It'd be great to just keep the whole bear issue there, and maybe he would come for one of Alan's presentations too, or the park presentations, the fellow that you're talking about and from Kodiak.
Justice, did you have anything you want to add to that discussion?
No, some community members have talked about wanting to, for safety, have us talk about closing that area during high bear periods and stuff. So I just, in the email thread, we should talk about that. This might be maybe a bear meeting.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Alan Parks.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks, Sue. I guess what I am confused about is the grant and what role the Citizens Advisory Board has with the grant. And I don't really know anything more about it than what you just said. And I don't know what the precedent is. And if we've done that before, it needs to be nice to have, a budget. If the board is going to get involved in doing partnerships with other entities, I'm of the mind that more of a detailed plan would be in place about how the grant can be administrated and everything that you asked about, the Hans, about who's going to take care of the equipment that's possibly purchased and blah, blah, blah. And so there's a lot that I feel is kind of unknown. And I just have reservations. And if you're going for a grant, that seems like that's something that would be a discussion from the board, not just because does that mean that if I can just go get another partner and some money and do a project? Is that how this works? I'm just curious because I would just like to have a process on how it's all done. I really support the bear outreach and education and everything and doing it with the public. I just like to know how it all comes down because I just thought it's just kind of, I've never heard of us. One of the reasons why I think this board is really nice is because we don't have any money. We don't have to balance a budget. We don't have to worry about how the details are. But if we're going to start getting grants and getting money, I guess it's no skin off my rear if it goes south on us somehow. I don't think it will, but those are the things that
Okay, Alan.
Sue, I'm still talking. That some of the things that a normal board does is, budgets and grants.
I'll save you. I'll save you a little heartburn.
I have no heartburn.
No.
I have no heartburn. I just have questions.
We can't do it anyway because we're not a 501c3.
Well, then who, what, and where is this? Yeah.
From my understanding.
Okay, could I please speak to Alan and everybody else? From the get-go, we have talked about, as a state park, you can't apply to Homer Foundation. So I can't tell you what we're going to do because we don't have the estimate of the video. So we don't have that budget in place yet. And maybe it won't happen, but if we do get from Shonda and the other fellow that she's working with, an estimate for this piece of equipment, then the budget will go through and the city will go ahead with us. And that's why the Homer Foundation, as a partner, because they are at 501c3, to put this video thing down there on the city property or at, on the spit where there's high traffic. My only objective was to get something done. And, we have talked about doing this, but you can't do much in education if we have no money. We don't even have money to, maintain our buildings or hire staff. I don't see why there would be a problem getting a $5,000 grant when there's several nonprofits that say, yes, by all means, this is so important. So, I'm willing to do the steps. They're not yet clear. And of course, you can't apply for a grant without having a budget but it's no sweat off our back. We're not paying for anything. So I don't know what your concerns are, really. I mean, I hear them, but they don't empower me or anything to continue.
Yeah, Robert, if I could say something.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, so I was wondering if the Friends, if their 501c or whatever it's called could do this. Is that a possibility, or is that, because they did that, I
Right.
think, for the bike club and stuff, didn't they? Or they've done it for different things,
Yeah.
or no?
The
They
Friends,
currently have an open grant with, so you only have one grant at a time, so.
and
That's
they were
something
the first choice.
That's something to consider once this one grant is paid out.
Okay, it's just great
Um,
because that way it'd be attached to the park and, not to the city necessarily, which I guess it, doesn't necessarily matter, but to kind of keep it in the tribe.
And Fish and Game was really interested too, and they would help with creating a brochure for next year, with, for Kachemak Bay. But, it's the middle of March and we would like this out by May. So I don't see what, it could go through many different organizations, and I can just stop right now and not pursue it any longer if you don't
So
want
I
to
think
go
you
through.
should keep going doing it. I think the point is maybe what Alan is asking for is maybe a proposal, maybe an outline of what you're thinking so that we can look at it and then, then we'll talk about, okay, what 501c and all that kind of stuff, just so, and
It's
that might be the
March.
way.
It's
'Cause
March,
please,
and our deadline's the 18th. We don't have the budget from, yeah. So I would have had it if I had, if people had come through with that. I would have been able to present that to you, but I'm trying to put it through quickly, so it could happen before the summer, but I'm fine with
Yep.
it
No,
not
don't
happening this
stop.
year.
Keep doing it. Don't stop. I think it's really important we follow through somehow. And, I don't, maybe we need to write out what would be wrong with, going through the city. I don't know. Maybe we should just talk about that. I mean, so you need a decision right now? Is that what you're saying?
I don't need any decision at all. The Homer Conservation Society has said yes, they
Oh, I
have
see.
no problem with it.
Okay.
Fish and Game would love to, but they're not a nonprofit. The city has basically said, they need to, as Hans would say, socialize it, but no problem, I think, but if we use their property to put it up in that area. Nancy, do you own the property between Allison's and Mako's?
Yes.
So we'd probably, if we used your property, we'd just, do it there. But Alan, do you have a problem going through the Kachemak Conservation Society for them channeling money to the parks?
Robert? Go ahead, Alan. Thank you.
I don't have a problem with it, Sue. Our day, there's nothing in front of me that really outlines what the process you're speaking of, so I've just maybe missed it a little bit, but the bottom line is the cab isn't gonna have our name on it, and that's fine. The other issue I have is that the state should be paying for it. The state should come up with the money to pay for the bear stuff. I think that's another thing that we haven't talked about. I know Hans is working on it, but we keep having to do this fundraising to manage this park. And I think we have to acknowledge that we're doing the work that the state should fund. That's the bottom line. We need a budget that covers the things that we need to have in the park. And we need to have an open discussion about that, because it's not cool. You have to go scrounging around to create materials for public safety. That's another thing that I have a problem with, but I don't have a problem. Their information needs to get put out to the public. Where it gets put is another topic. But thank you for all the work you've done, Sue. But I just didn't have anything in front of me that said anything about anything other than what you just described over the mic, the speaker here. So there you have it. Thank you so much.
Anybody else have anything to say on this subject? I will add that the Kachemak Bay Conservation Society put thousands of dollars into the lawsuit over jet skis, as did the Friends. So Friends has put a lot of money into various things for the park. And I will say that I find it a little discouraging that when we talk about getting brochures for safety reproduced, all I hear is we don't have the money to do it. And that is very discouraging, because that is the safety of the public areas. And I know where the budget is and everything else, so it's in the gutter. Anybody got anything else on that one? What we can do is ask. And I remind our legislators all the time, be an advocate for state parks. All right, let's move on to new business. And I hope people took the time to read at least some of the stuff I sent out on this. HB 321 came out of Andy Josephson, was a representative for Southeast. He's got Joe Meehan working for him, who used to be in Habitats. And he, yeah. Andy is. Thanks. And he's worked on, he used to be with refuges. When Fish and Game had. Anyway, he's well versed in refuges, and this bill clarifies boundaries on a lot of them. Critical habitats. And I could read this if nobody has read it. The bill summary.
Good summary.
Okay. Anybody online? You guys need any? So for Kachemak Bay State Park and the critical habitat in Kachemak Bay, it doesn't have a lot. It does for some of the Fritz Creek, Anchor River. It would put up a new section in there, a very tiny piece. It's going to delineate all the boundaries to where they should be. It's going to talk about public use. It's going to talk about firearms. And the one that we have spent an awful lot of time on in this area is personal watercraft. In this bill, flat out would say personal watercraft, these watercraft would be prohibited Kachemak Bay and Fox River flats refuge. And that would come under a statute and not a regulation.
That be in the critical habitat area? I mean, when there's portions of Kachemak Bay that aren't in the critical habitat area?
There's separate critical habitats up there.
Oh, I see.
Yep. It has some real good stuff in it. Brown bear hunting near Big Neal River Sanctuary. It's going to talk about private and native corporation lands. Anyhow, there's a lot in this. But one of the interests that I have is definitely the personal watercraft. And I've been following this bill. I don't know exactly where it's at right now, but at such point that if we want to make a comment on that, I need to know what the board wants to do.
Robert?
Nancy,
Yeah, I've looked at this and this is great that they're doing it. I have questions and I have, some amendments that I'd like to, and I will call, I tried calling today. I wasn't able to get through to anybody, but there's a problem with the critical habitat areas, and that is that they have a statute that people don't know is there, and it's 1620-510, and it's I'll just read it really quick because it's really, really important. We need it, and no one really knows that it's there. And what it does, it directs the Board of Game and the Board of Fish to, where appropriate, shall adopt regulations they consider advisable for conservation and protection purposes governing the taking of fish and game in the state fish and game critical habitat areas. And so, maybe this could be added into this bill instead of it being alone. And when you look in the LexisNexis of regulations and statutes, I mean, it's not where people can see it. So I don't even know, I know very few people that know that this even exists. So anyway, I'm going to ask that they add that in there. And then I'm wondering about wildlife being defined, because where's fish going to be in this? Like, is there, and maybe Hans knows this, is there an actual statutory definition for wildlife? And there would probably be a different one in DNR as compared to ADF&G. And so, we need to make sure that it includes all wildlife, including the harvested wildlife and fish that are harvested. Because sometimes they're kind of particular about keeping wildlife only in non-harvested species. So anyway, and then the other thing is he's saying in here that he's going to amend to add the word habitat back in, and I would recommend they put ecosystem instead of habitat, because a lot of people just think that habitat is just rocks and sand and things like that, but it's also all the zooplankton and all the nuts and bolts of what's feeding the animals and what makes it a critical habitat area. And so I don't know if we want to do that. I don't know if we have time right now, but to add that word ecosystem or ecosystem and habitat, however you want to do it. And so anyway, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I see in places on there it says not tide or submerged land, and I don't know why that's being taken out, because that's the way the statute for critical habitats are. It's about 30,000 acres is actual habitat or critical habitat in the park, or it overlaps the park. So anyway, I'm just trying to decipher this bill and make sure that any loopholes can be removed. And so you don't know when the next hearing is on it?
I don't even know if it's had a hearing yet, to tell you the truth, but I can
Okay.
call Mr. Meehan, and if you would like to have a conversation with him, he would be the one to talk to, because this bill is in its infancy.
Yep. Okay, well, thanks for bringing this up. Really appreciate it.
Something that I could get behind, but it certainly isn't in its finished product by any means. So I'll talk to you. Are you gonna be around, Nancy?
Yes, yes, I will. Yeah, give me a call. We'll figure it out, and because it's a critical one.
I don't think it's ready for us to support in this present.
No.
All right. Got the agenda here somewhere. The next one is another house bill. In this one, we heard things about this last year. And in fact, there is a bill by Representative McKay. And I did not send this out because I just got it. But I'll read it if you'd like. Well, I'll read it. I can't know that. It's actually for easements and right of ways to public property inside state parks, and a means to provide for that. It's also to provide the same thing for public utilities. And it doesn't say anything, but it's a shoe in the door.
Send it to us, Robert.
I will do that.
What's the number? 220. 220?
Yeah.
HB.
HB by Representative K. And I don't know if Parks have had any input into this because they must, because it's specifically talking about parks.
You're a little broken there, Robert. Was that 520?
It's House Bill 220.
220. Okay. I'll do a little.
An act relating to easements and right of ways in state parks.
What does Hans think about this?
I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, Nancy, but I can take a look and circle back with the group here. I've been out for the last week, so I was just searching my emails here to see if there's been any agency correspondence about it. The deadline for bill filing was maybe 10 days ago, so I think that's why you're seeing some of these, which is great, but seeing a little flurry of bill activity here.
Yep.
Sorry.
I know last year there was some stuff out there that was going to give people the right to have access to private property in the parks. That was pretty concerning, but I don't think that ever came to fruition in the last session. So I'm going to keep an eye on that for us. All right. I don't have anything more on that, unfortunately. Number 10 is informational material. I think the track counter's information was sent out by Eric today, and that was great. So if you haven't seen that, have a look at that. And B is board members' dates. You should know who you are, and if you want to stay on this board, give you that application. Okay. All right. Next is comments of the public. Is there anybody from the public who would like to say anything to the board? Mako Haggerty.
First of all, I'd like to thank Sue for her work on the bear stuff, and I'd like to completely agree with Alan on the fact that the state park has to, pick up their game a little bit on this. We've Friends has gone out, we bought trail counters. You know, that's something I think the state parks should do. But and if I go down the list of things that I think the state park should be, or the state should be paying for it would be a long list. And the trail counters is just all part of making sure that, state parks gets the funding that they need. It's all connected. We take that information from the state park, from the counters, we take it to the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce writes a letter to their representative, and so it's all like we're really working to try to beef up the funding. But I couldn't agree with Alan more on that. The fact that this is falling on individuals to go out and raise money is, I think it's ridiculous. But let's see. So having said that, thanks for the work on 321. I strongly support that. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Haggerty. I don't think we have anybody from the public online, is there? All right, it's all quiet. Comments of park staff. Hans, you got anything?
Nothing to add, sir. I'm not there in person, everyone. Have a good evening. Thanks for our work.
Thanks, Hans. Eric. Eric. Good to see you with us. Comments of board members. Stu Christensen.
I sure agree with Alan and Mako and probably most of the board and most of the park staff, you know, that we are so underfunded. And I don't know, you know, Doug Vincent Lang and our governor, and it's just the leadership that we're under and where our priorities going. You know, we can bomb Iran, but we don't have money for schools. It's just craziness. But anyway, I just, you know, when I look at if I want to be on this board again, I am so passionate about Kachemak Bay State Park. You know, I'm as in love with that place as I was when I first met it, and which is almost 50 years ago. But I don't know that I feel like we're listened to much, and it's nice to work and see change happen. So, you know, I just thought that the Bear Education was just not going to happen this year. And so that's why I kind of took the reins. But anyway, I'm sure glad we have the park. And I'm sure glad you guys are all here. And thanks, Hans, for your leadership.
Thanks, Sue. Keep those reins, keep your feet in those stirrups while you're holding on to those reins. All right, Kristen Dixon. I don't know, I see 3 different things for her. No Kirsten Dixon.
I think it may just be her note taker.
Guess I can't count her as here then. All right, Morgan Bento.
I would second what Robert said, Sue. Keep your feet in the stirrups. I think it's amazing what you've been able to do since the last meeting on the Bear Education, and really appreciate you putting the time in for that. It's super important. So thank you for everything you've done there.
Thanks, Morgan. That was directed at you, Sue. Nancy Gilstrand.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad everybody's here, and thank you, Sue, because she took over for me. I worked on it for 1 year, but didn't seem to go anywhere because I couldn't find. But she's moving forward, trying to get some equipment. I think it's wonderful, and I ditched out to the bushes, so thank you, Sue, for taking that over. It's great. And I wanted to just say that House Bill 222 is moving through the legislature. It started last year, so we might want to look a little closer at that and make sure it's not going to disrupt the park. I think it's in Community and Regional Affairs right now, and that's as of the 5th of March. And there's been no movement. It was heard once for the House Bill 321, the one on critical habitat, but it hasn't moved anywhere yet. So that was as of February 23rd. So 220 is moving, so we might want to make sure there's no little tidbits in there that we don't want in the park. So thanks so much, everybody. Thanks.
Justice. Louis,
I have a question for Hans, and back to what Aaron was saying. Is it against the law for us to brush those social trails? That according to my understanding there, those trails have been in there before the park was a park. So why can't we brush those trails?
we'll talk about that at the next meeting, hopefully.
Okay,
We're gonna put that on the agenda.
I'll wait for that then. Otherwise, thank you, everybody. I'm done.
Thanks, Louis. Alan Parks.
Thank you, Robert. First off, Sue, thank you so much. My comments are not to be a deterrent to your efforts. I think it's awesome that we need to be cognizant of the bear potential there or for harm. There's other aspects of that too that are important to understand. It's like last year they closed the trail and it was just the trail. It wasn't an area. So that closure didn't make complete sense to me, but a lot of things don't. And also my comments about the budget and what the park should be funding is no way directed to you three staffers that are here right now, the employees of the state. I appreciate all your guys' work and effort. It is basically directed to the governor and to the legislature. They're the ones that fund it. You guys carry out the directive of your superiors, and I understand that. And I really appreciate your work. It has nothing to do with anything with you guys, but I am passionate about having a constructive conversation about the budget and about how we can, as a CAB, influence that, because we're not a 501(c) body that is constrained by certain lobbying efforts, and we are individuals and we can speak out onto it. And I encourage everybody to talk about the budget, that it's important that this gets funded. The other thing that's a little bit of well, you know what? That's enough. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Alan. So on Earth Day, which is April 22nd, Conservation Society is going to have a Earth Day celebration at the Porcupine Theater. And Libby Roderick is going to be here, singer-songwriter. And everybody from the board and friends is invited to that.
What day is that?
April 22nd. In any Stark Park, people, they want to go.
And it's going to be at the Porcupine. What time?
5:30 to 7:30. Admission is free. And I'll drag a few people in. Pretty good meeting. I like the idea of throwing things out there and then let's come back and talk about it, especially the names and the such, because I can tell that that's a little contentious with people. But like Hans says, if you start out in the infancy and do it right, everybody will be happy and there'll be a system to do it. So I will, keep an eye on these bills. I gotta see where that one is, the 220. It may not be an issue. It may have a lot to do with utilities and the such, but it also might have something to do with private property, road easements and the such. And it may, if it goes into statute or regulation, and I have private property here, there's a regulation that says I can have access. Not to me, if you bought something inside a state park and you knew that you were land bound, there was no guarantee that you were ever gonna have access. Not that you had land in it before the state park. Why did you buy it? You didn't know it was gonna be a state park. Well, it was not public. It was not public. It was not removed from the public domain. It was general DNR land.
It's an end around from that bill last year.
Yep, it is. So. All right. Make a move. But we are done. We're adjourned. We're adjourned. Thank you, Robert. Thank y'all. I won't be here.
Thanks, Hans.
Thanks, Hans.
In May.
Yep. Good evening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See you, Morgan.
Good night.
Or
Good night, Sue. Thank you, Sue.